Hey guys, I just wanted to check in and clear up a few misconceptions. When I said I had food issues, what I meant was off camera, I eat a lot. Okay? So I need to overeat to avoid really overeating. I don't expect you idiots to understand these low educated, low brow, no good, from who the hell knows where, decide they're.
What are you doing?
I'm just educating the masses about the differences and the nuances between bed and a good meal.
Oh God.
Speaking of, anybody want to go to bed with me?
Oh.
You like short hair? I can have short hair. You like blondes? I can be blonde. Hyper. I'm bleeding, and you're gonna get it. Eurobees and shit. Hello everyone, I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark.
Howdy ho.
And this is Smokey, Steve, and Mark. Either welcome or welcome back, and happy Saturday. It's the weekend. It's hot. I'm having Coke Zero. We'll have soda talk. So I hope everyone's well and everyone's safe. Look after yourselves. Look after each other. Today we're going to catch up again with our fair lady Chantal. Chantal Marie, Foodie Beauty, Big Beautiful Me, The Daily Chantal, Chantopolis, The Chantal Show, Chantal and Sala, that ASMR thing that they farted out, and Foodie Beauty now. So I wasn't here last week. This time last week I was in the ER. So I apologize for the abrupt cancellation. Things come up sometimes. For anyone who may be interested, before we dive in, I'm doing quite a bit better. Still swelling, still living on ice packs, but rolling along just fine. So thank everyone who left their thoughts and concerns, and hope you didn't feel clickbaited when it said Foodie Beauty last week and it wasn't her. So let's pick up where we left off, because I wasn't here last week. So what I wanted to pick up with, we were talking about bed, and food issues that are similar, the coded language. And let's see, what else did we talk about? Mukbangs are back going into this week. The cat that she has, that she's trolling everyone with, it still makes me yuck. There was another YouTuber who Chantal had interactions with this week, and Chantal, as part of this back and forth and whatever, posted a picture side by side of herself with another YouTuber, saying that they're about the same size. I'll show you it later and see what you think. And Rage Stream, we had another pretty good Rage Stream, I would say. They're kind of pathetic, funny, and they're kind of willful blindness. The way she should be like a lousy defense attorney, really, but she got an excuse for everything and a reason for everything, and this was no different. The way she treats anybody, the way she treats herself, the way she treats her cats, she is entirely justified in all her habits. There is no checking Chantal. She doesn't answer to anyone but Chantal. So it goes. So we will pick up with bed. Now, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, there was some flack coming out about the fact that she spent a couple months eating, pretty much, and doing mukbangs and nothing else. But then also started to integrate content about weight reduction, dieting, healthier lifestyles. So she talked about the mukbanging stuff, ate a bunch of food. And then I suspect Sala had quite enough, and then ordered some diet food to come in, which she due diligence ate those and everything else she was normally eating. She had tried every day a new different way to try to find an excuse to eat fast food. Oh, there was a coupon. It was for a video. I made this much in that video, so it was worth it. Okay. She did say she lost some weight over the last few. She had lost 1 kilogram, and then just recently this week, I believe she lost 5 pounds. Chantal is 300, closer to 4 than 300 pounds. She might have had that much stuck in her teeth. So I'm not really sure. And water shifting for a person that size, she's 250 pounds heavier than she's, the weight of 3 average women her height. It's not her fault that she's 5 feet tall. Her weight would make sense if she was about 10'9". Then she'd be all proportionate, but not so much. According to Chantal with her bed, we've never seen her do that on camera. Okay, so we've never seen it. We've only ever seen her overeat or indulge. Now, we can split hairs about definitions and things like that. There is some objective criteria that we use here in the States through the National Institute of Health, National Institute of Mental Health, regarding what that is, what some of the symptoms may be, and a person can look at those and self-reflect if they're being honest with themselves and say, do I do some of these things? You don't have to do every last one, but of those things, am I engaging in them? And not only am I engaging in them, is it causing a degree of impairment? Is some part of my life not going well because I'm so preoccupied with eating? So, and I would pretty much say every part of her life is worse because of what she eats. So her theory is that deprivation will lead to binging. This is not unheard of, but Chantal stitches 5 diets together as an excuse to go to Arby's. So deprivation leads to binging. So she cannot deprive herself. No. She has to overindulge. She has to overeat. And in fact, it's sort of a harm reduction way of being healthier, because if she didn't just overeat, she'd binge. Okay. So I had a feeling when she was living with BB that there was an issue. She brought up one thing that struck me, and I thought, what a good manipulation, because I bought it for a couple of years. She was just ending up with BB and it was going to be over, and she was talking about the same kind of food issues and the secrecy that goes with it, and she disclosed that BB had found 8 pizza boxes in the closet, and that she had hid them there for shame of her behavior. That's really cute for getting sympathy, but we watched what happened in the villa. The food left all over the room wasn't a function of shame. It was a function of laziness. It was completely different. There was fried chicken in the damn drawers. Miriam, that is not that far away. When we talk about leaving our past behind, and our past was a week and a half ago, this is why no one takes you seriously. This is why you're a joke, and everyone gets it but her. I don't know. So is she just a glutton, just an addict, mental health concern? I don't know. But I do know that she will always find a way to eat exactly the way she wants, and she will find somebody to co-sign it, and then she will change her mind, and then she will not want to talk about it anymore. Chantal's big hang-up is that when she's done talking about something, everyone else needs to be done talking about it too. She doesn't have that kind of control over people, really. And would you want it anyway? So she does what she could do to control hers and shut down the comment section and highly filter them and everything. Like, if you're telling me this many people watched this, had this much to say, and nobody but 4 people said good job, and they were all her, to each other, to themselves.
So guys, bismillah. Let's eat.
As to the mukbangs returning, they've gone in and out. For once they started, when she was getting right back on the road to regular income, because she was barely getting 10,000 views on some of these vlogs and the stuff they were doing and the camping and the whatnot. So I think she finally just caved in to the reality of her situation, and it was like, look, all I'm worth is a quick HJ for some feeders in cyberspace. Okay. And that's enough. And apparently it's okay with her husband too. And she would just eat, and he would bring her the food. She's not mobile. She is not mobile. They're going to start calling it ambulating rather than walking, because it'll be something she'll need to do with or without assistance, with or without device, because she's eaten herself into a state of disability. Not a lot of people are sympathetic about that kind of thing. I've said myself, I'm no more sympathetic to Chantal not being able to walk than if she had cut off her own legs. She had a perfectly fine set of legs that worked just fine. Good joints, too. But our bodies are like our Kias. If we don't maintain them or keep after them, they fall apart completely. So, I don't know. The closest thing she did to the food plan was eating the diet food integrated. Reed ate that too, with all the other stuff she was eating in a day. Slide in there that as we were looking at some of her mukbangs this week, it seemed like some of these weren't locked in time and space to this week. Some were filmed earlier. The room looked a little bit different. She was in this, oh God, she looked, who loses weight and then needs to go buy bigger clothes? And when the clothes we're buying are rather long, flowy, cape-like, you know, I don't know. She looks bad. She looks like she lives somewhere where they don't make clothes for fat people. And she doesn't. I don't suspect they do. I had a great girlfriend. She went abroad for a year when we were in college. And she was a bigger girl. And when she came back, she had lost like 60, 70 pounds in a year. And I was like, that's great. What did you do? She was like, you got to walk everywhere. It's Europe. And, you know, you have a slice of pizza and you get like a little piece of a sweet from a shop, but it's like this big, mostly fruit and 75 cents. But that's not everybody. She kind of threw herself, I think, into the culture. If Chantal was in Italy, all she would do was eat pizza until her bowels ruptured. She wouldn't do anything else the whole time. Not even leave the room. Probably. Unless she shaves her head and goes to karaoke. That was the only thing I've ever seen Chantal do that I was mildly impressed with her taking a risk. Because it is a risk. Everyone's afraid of singing in public. I don't care. Even if you're a ham, you get anxious about it. So, mukbang's being back means she's going to sit on the floor and eat on, it's a cardboard box with a thing wrapped around it. And she sets up her food in front. And I can't, in my head, get around where her stomach is, where the floor is, if she's balancing this thing on top of her stomach, if her legs are shot out like this. Can't really get all that together. We used to have a similar issue with the tray in the car. By the time people outgrow underpants, they outgrow shoes. People don't often outgrow cars, physically outgrow cars, unless they grow a family and need more room for them. But, you know, the Hyundai is, I'm sure, great. You know, I'm sure it's helping out a lot. Chantal sits alone and eats off that box by herself. And Salah's there, maybe, but I honestly don't think he deals with too much of this stuff. And Chantal thinks people are wildly jealous of this. Now, I don't know anyone who's wildly jealous of a person who's almost immobile. For what? Chantal thinks if any one of us had the chance, we would do exactly what she did. She thinks everybody would secretly eat themselves fat if they were more liberated and loved themselves just a little better. I should wish Mark would love me so much as to bring me the thing that's killing me, as long as it makes money. And the kitty. Of course, she has a cat on the channel. There's Julia, who's still poking around. And what sucks is that Chantal is just the kind of person who would get an animal and use it as a troll. Not a plant, not a piece of art, nothing in the background. A live thing that needs food and air and love and attention, and keep it around simply to piss people off. Those are shitty reasons to do it. It makes you a shitty person for doing it. And just in case you're concerned, I found this directory of veterinarians in Kuwait City, because I'm just waiting to hear how Julia was when she got checked out. But the bigger thing of it goes to Chantal's core. She has 2 pets in a country where she's not a citizen. She has moved 2 to 3 times since she's been there, which is not that long. She can't offer stability, regularity to an animal. So when it loses its novelty, like a child, she'll give it away. She'll give it back. It'll run away. Something will happen because it's exhausted its usefulness. It was only meant to troll, and then if it's not anymore, it's not going to be around. So I'm sure Salah is not scooping litter boxes, and we know she doesn't either. So I can imagine a small room in a 120-degree city with a hamster, a cat, and Chantal. Maybe the bees or perfume will kind of cover the scent of everything. Here's hoping, right? You know, that fine mist of Italian hoagie with extra cumin. That kind of, you know what I mean? It's gross. So, pet ownership for her is a one-way street. What can the animal do for me? What can the kitty do for me? It can make me attempt to appear lovable. You can't really fake it, though, with cats and dogs, at least. I've never had a dog and I don't have any other animals, but you can't fake it with them. They can smell a rotten person. You know, even if they're hungry and they're willing to rub their leg, you know, themselves up against your leg, they can still sniff out a rat. So, the cat's her companion until Salah comes home. He comes home, throws some food at the floor, and leaves. So, speaking of kitties, see, this is, I think, the difference. I miss the boys terrible when I was in the hospital. I was there for 3 days. I miss them a lot because I was worried how they're doing. I knew Mark was taking good care of them. Mark's had pets for years. These are my first 2 pets. can hear him in the background. Right, Bandit? He was kneading on his rainbow bunny. Terrible I miss them. I don't think she even notices or cares sometimes if the pet's around. And Oscar was a stray. So I'm not saying, she brought in a stray. We brought in a stray. No better, no worse. But we have a connection between Oscar and his veterinarian. Same veterinarian Bandit goes to easily. And we've been able to take care of him and take him in. And we decided when we took him off specifically because he came off the street. For 2 years, he hung out in the garden at our first apartment and would hang around and run around Mark and jumping over. Very cute. He hopped like a bunny. Very, very cute kitty. And so for a couple of years, we did that. Well, then we were feeding him. And Mark had built a shelter for him on our back porch so that he could come and hide in the snow and the rain because it can get pretty cold here. And Oscar made it through 2 winters, 2 pretty wet summers, and he was good. But we were going to be moving, and we'd been providing him with food and shelter. He wasn't as resilient as he would have been before he met us, so it felt like our responsibility to very happily pack him up and take him with us, and we did. But despite his meager beginnings, that doesn't mean he's going to get the feral treatment for the rest of his life. We're going to look after him, so that means he needs to get checked out, and he needs blood work, and see if he's chipped in case he runs, and all that kind of good stuff. She wanted something to love her, not something to love. It's different. There are people who would suggest, maybe cruelly, that Chantal's infertility is in fact proof of God. Others would suggest otherwise. I'm with Chantal. Not everyone's called to parenting. I'm a decent guy. I would be a bad parent. I'd be a bad parent. I'm probably still too selfish to be good, because doing what's best for the vulnerable one that I'm in charge of, not what's easiest for me, is the big kind of challenge there. And Chantal's pretty mature across the board, so things like personal responsibility don't jump out at her as like, oh, look, an opportunity to be responsible. She runs like from those kind of things. So, I don't know. But I wouldn't let her feed our pets. I'll say that. All right, into the kind of similar topic, I'll tell you about myself a little bit. I was diagnosed with food issues, amongst other things, and one of the twists I had that went with my food issues was, and it was not bad, was that I would always want to eat in secret, and I did eat in secret, but I ate a lot in front of other people too. These things weren't so tight and so exclusive. I also had very little insight into how big I was the first time I started losing weight. I was a teenager, who am I, who are you, have I found myself, what's going on? I was a big fat kid. And it was kind of hard to find my way on myself anyway. But I lost, when I started losing weight, insight of how thin I was getting too. And this is something that happens with people who have mental hang-ups tied into food addiction, all that kind of stuff. So she uses the excuse of not being bigger than this other person to try to justify her size. She doesn't have to explain herself, but God, she tries, doesn't she? And she fucks the more she says, the worse it gets. But anyway, the tip she was having with this other creator is whatever. It ever is. Every so often, a smaller channel. When I say small, I mean under 10,000. So, they're small and they're small. But will make its way onto her radar. Some screenshots will get shot around. Well, part of the discussion that came up with this other YouTuber, who is a person of all size also, is that Chantal put up a side-by-side of the two of them during the middle of this, whatever it is, nonsense. And Chantal said that she thinks they look like they're about the same size, except that maybe she's a little taller. Now, if she's only been looking at herself through filters, then yeah, I believe she thinks she looks that much smaller. Who wants to face the reality that they weigh the amount of 3 people? It's nothing to be... There's no shame, there's no pride, it's a medical condition, and it's not severe for everybody, but for some, especially if it prevents me from doing things like walking, bathing myself, cooking my own food, the basics that people need to be able to do. If it gets in the way of any of those things, shopping. She had talked about getting a Jazzy. Do you remember when she cussed the F out of Amberlynn Reed for using a motorized scooter, a mobility scooter, and Chantal said, I'm 300 and whatever she lied about that month. I would never in my life use one of those kind of things. Oh, really? Oh, really? Oh, really? You know, she used to get, everything was just a manifestation of laziness. Can't go outside, heat stroke. Can't go to the gym, hurt my back. Can't diet, might binge. So you can see my position here. You have to understand how I'm totally helpless and a victim of circumstance. The only thing I can do is get fatter. She needs help. She needs help. She needs big help. But again, going back to the main point of this with the photo of the two of them, Chantal sees herself very differently than she actually is. She doesn't see herself accurately, and then insists that everyone doesn't see what they see. You know, she tries to gaslight because she can't believe it either, probably. You know, she tries to find some reason why these two things, whatever it is, whatever they're comparing to me, I'm superior, I'm more educated. Didn't you drop out of college? I mean, I'm not a snob, but, you know, you're probably better to say I had some education rather than I got an education, or just say I attended college rather than I finished. English is her primary language, and she filled out. School's not for everyone, but she left college to pursue a career in third shift call center work and eating. It's not a path many of us have taken, okay? So this alone makes this kind of a spectacle. This is the stuff that's like underneath all of this. This is the kind of thing I think that gets to her too, because when I started making videos about Chantal, you know, once a week, like now, and I would watch other reactors who it was pretty much their whole channel to do Chantal. And I like a number of different ways people do the reviewing. Whether it's, you know, something more like milk tea, you know, where she's talking and maybe there's a little bit of footage or some pics here and there, but mostly it's her assessment and her opinions. And I kind of like her temperament too. Like, I don't get super hot and bothered about what Chantal does. I get aggravated by the choices she makes, but I don't think, like, she doesn't run a lot of time in my head. If I'm going through YouTube on the TV and I pass by and it's like Chantal defends another indefensible decision, I might cackle and laugh, but, you know, once we get done with Saturdays, I check in with how she's doing during the week and I keep it moving. I don't have a good or bad day because of anything Chantal did or didn't say or did or didn't do. It has no relevance in my life, and I have none in hers, you know? But it just, you know, it being YouTube and people having comments and comment sections and reacting and talking and the whatnot. So it is. So it is. And so this week, of course, we had a rage stream, because how could we not have a rage stream? It was not her best, not her most lucrative, probably, not enough for a new set of rims for the Santa Fe.
The only thing I rage about is how stupid you all look because you're worse. You have a worse life. You have a worse past. You're all fat too.
But it was notable. No Cuba bees, but notable. She talked about a bunch of different things. She talked about religion. And when she starts any sentence with "as a Muslim," I really am disinterested in anything she has to kind of say about that. She has said she's not a traditional Muslim because she's from the West. Does that mean in the West, everyone's a poser and people are only dressing Muslim? Chantal started wearing the attire before she probably cracked a book looking at what Islam was even about. She wanted to find Muslim guys and thought if she'd convert, it'd be easier to do. Smarter women have done dumber things, but so it goes. But she kind of like, when you ask her about, you know, piety and living life and the praying and if she could find Mecca without having to look, I'd be very, very impressed. 5 times a day she should be facing it, so I don't know. I mean, maybe she rolls over after the mukbang while she's on all fours and tries to get a few in, but when she says as a Muslim this or that, it's really a joke. I mean, if I was Muslim, I'd be offended. As a person, I find it curious, you know, like it'd be like if she was walking around dressed up like a nun. Oh, I'm very devout. No, I didn't take any vows or anything, but I want people to think so. And I just won't correct them when I say I'm new to the faith. So, talked about religion. Anything with her and moral superiority is a joke. Parenting. So Chantal has thoughts on parenting. Is it even an issue for her? It's never going to come up. So what do you mean? She has a few women in the community. Chantal does not like women more than men, and she has a fair number of men who react. I mean, bigger than me and Mark, of course, but there's some men who do it. But she comes down hard on female creators who are mothers. Now, Chantal says, if you say anything, French fry girl, about my mother, I'll knock you out. Now, did Chantal issue a threat? Technically. Let me tell you about a threat issued to me. I used to do advocacy at the state mental hospital regionally. And true enough, one day a person came at me, hands out like this, saying they were going to kill me. Now that sounds scary, doesn't it? That sounds like something really serious could happen. But the context was I was on the Gero psych unit. This patient was 90 years old, had to step out of their wheelchair, and was coming at me at a good solid 0.01 miles an hour. I'm gonna... So was a threat issued? Yes. But is this person in any position to carry it out? No. It's a joke. It lets you know they're dissatisfied, but they're not gonna do anything with it. When she ran into French Fry Girl, they both grinned and took a picture. That says more about both of them than a lot of other things that you've heard, seen, or read, probably. I don't know French Fry Girl like that. I think she was doing the good deed when it came to the BBJ thing. So any differences aside, when a good deed stands alone like that, that good trouble to get into, can you do wrong doing right? I don't know. Do the ends justify the means? I don't know. A cat that was otherwise going to die is now not dead. And a cat that needed to see a vet finally saw one. And neither of those things happened in Chantal's custody. So she can tell herself whatever she wants. Oh, animal control said they were fine. That's the measuring stick? Like, I don't know. So again, her rage is whatever. The mothering, there's a few she goes after so hard. Her making threats, rather. Her life is her responsibility. Nobody's job is to fix it but her. Sala was supposed to fix it, he didn't. Going back to mukbangs was supposed to fix it. It didn't. Getting out of Canada was supposed to fix it. It didn't. All of it. You bring yourself with you. I didn't invent anything that profound. I heard it sometime and it made a lot of sense. Wherever you go, there you are. You bring yourself with you where you go. And she did. And this is what happens when you take all of those issues and all of that denial and all of that self-loathing and all of that anger and put it on a plane and drop it in the middle of the Middle East. So this food stuff's going to get interesting because she can't go too far with talking about food and food issues. I'd be surprised if I didn't have a thing on this video because some things are not meant to be discussed in any way on YouTube. And that's terms of service, whatever. So I'm happy to talk in circles about it. That loses people who don't understand code language of talking in circles. And so if someone wanted to say, look for a video of a person who is in recovery from some food issues of their own, they might not be able to find that. Or it would be for 18 and over. Whatever. I'll leave that to the people who make more than me and whose decisions are far more consequential than mine. But they would have consequences for her. She's not going to be able to go out and say exactly every single solitary thing she wants. And the whole irony of it is that, she can do whatever she wants. Her dress suggests that she's chosen a different kind of way to live, but her mouth betrays her, as usual. So, hell if I know what's coming into next week, but we will be here to talk about it, and it's been good to be back, I have to say, tonight to sit down and chat with you guys. First one back, a little nervous, sitting on a nice pack, but we made it, okay? So, thank you all for joining, thank you for coming back, and thank you for watching. Please do subscribe, notification bell, you get alerts when we have new videos and go live. We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, it's all in the description, just right below. Thank you, and we'll catch up with you soon. Tomorrow night, Mark and I have a double date with my parents to go see Rent, so we won't be going live tomorrow night. We'll be catching up Monday with Mondays with Mark, and then we'll roll on from there. So thank you all for being here, and we'll catch up with you soon. Bye. Say goodbye, Mark.